Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. Hope you're all well and got over the disappointment of Saturday. Tonight on our panel with Vic, we have Jamie, Anna, Phil and Rob. And without further ado, let's get started. So let's bring Vic on. Hi, Vic.
Hi, Chris. How are you? You okay?
How are you? I'm
jolly good. Yes, I'm okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so shall we get the guys on and then we can make a start?
Okay.
Jamie.
Hi, Vic. Hi, Chris.
Hiya.
Hi, Jamie.
And I've just got to go down a bit.
Hello, Anna. Hiya.
Hiya, lower. Hiya, Phil. And hiya, Rob.
Evening all.
Evening all. Right.
As usual, anybody that's got any questions, please leave them in the comments. We will get us through as many as we can. As you know, we get loads of questions, so we have to get us choose which ones we do, but they all get seen. So if there are any that needs an answer to, we can go back and do those and do it for you privately. Okay, so I'm going to leave you and I will see you a bit later.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. I'd just like to start off with a bit of congratulations to two members of a winning team at the recent walking football tournament at Foundation Park. Anna Tursley, the mastermind behind the whole thing, and Phil Smith. Well, he used to be a great goalkeeper, but I tell you what, outfield, he's pretty good too. And I had to clear one of his ball. Sorry. Careful what I say here. One of his shots at Cannonback half a post, put it out for a corner, and the bruising is still there, I can assure you. So congratulations to both of you. Well done. Let's hope we don't get any more slips of the tongue like that again. Right. Rob, hello to you.
Hi, Vic.
And Jamie, hello to you.
Hi, Vic.
Right, let's kick off with Saturday then. My view of it was Swindon were beaten by a team who knew what they were doing. They practiced the dark arts very well indeed and managed the game very well indeed. Let's talk to a former professional about that. Phil, the dark arts, how important are they in a game of football?
Well, I mean, when you look at the amount of teams that actually employ them, yeah, they are very important. You know, and it hasn't always got to be as blatant as some of the things that were going on Saturday, but you know, it's all everything you need to do to win the game and within sort of the relative boundaries of the game, you know. And they did. They were street smart on Saturday, and all it does, a lot of the time, what it does is, as well as using up time, it just frustrates everybody, you know, supporters, players, and then once you're in their heads, you know, you know, you've got a massive advantage.
Rob, I think many of us didn't see the incident with Romany Critchlow. The ball had gone, so we weren't really watching that. And he did appear to be caught. And I think it's fair to say he didn't have his best game for Swindon. How much of an effect do you think that had?
I think it was a very significant one, Vic. I think now we've seen it all on video afterwards. It's a really, really poor forearm smash that how all the officials have missed it, I've no idea, because it's a blatant red card. 20 minutes in, you're playing 11 against 10. So you fancy it had a huge bearing on the game, but more importantly, Critchlow certainly was not at the standard that we've seen over previous matches over the course of Saturday. And I'm sure if you've had a knock to the head like that, which is completely unexpected, then that is going to have a bearing on your game, isn't it? And yeah, you mentioned the dark arts. That's one of those clever little ploys if you can get away with it. Fair enough, but certainly not within the laws of the game.
Jamie, I think it's fair to say at places like Salford, we've done our fair share of what they call game management. Where are you with this?
I have to say, like many, I didn't actually remember seeing it at the time. I think following the ball, there was obviously something that went on afterwards, but I think it comes with experience, doesn't it? I think maybe we've got a few more players that are starting off in their careers. They're not quite as used to that lower league activity, but it was more, for me, it was more to do with the amount of holding up play, restarting quickly, or just the kind of kicking the ball away enough not to get kind of in too much trouble. But it was that kind of breaking up that I think that they were clearly playing on. And I think we've seen that with some of the other teams as well. But it's the difference with coming back to the lower league again, isn't it? That you didn't see as much last year. But it's clearly what we're going to face every week, I think. We just have to find a way of coping with it.
Anna, obviously we were at home, and I think we can expect more teams to come to the county ground like that, aren't we?
Yeah, you know, Vic, I reckon we should lobby for a couple of things, right? We should lobby for a complete ban on long throws because they're damn annoying. I don't want to see the ball in my box when it's just inside our half. And the other thing that we should lobby for is referees who think it's all about them. And that's a little bit like it was Saturday with the referees. So I guess, you know, I'm expressing frustration about the result, about the performance. And I think you could see that on the players' faces and their body language at the end of the game when they were frustrated as well about how it panned out. But we definitely have to find a way to play against those sides that are going to come and rough us up, because they will. They'll rough us up and they'll close us down, and we have to turn on that side as well to some extent. And I think without, you know, we might talk about Anthony Grant later, might we? But without Grant in there, he's the sort of character that can come in and give it back a little bit. And I'm kind of looking around at who else is going to do that and who else is going to lift the team and push them in that direction a bit.
Yeah, Phil, what are you told before you go out? I mean, are you told this is a side that sort of, you know, plays on the edge? Are you told that before you go out or not?
I mean, games to game can be different about how people play. But yeah, if that's the way that they do things, then generally you'd be told, and video analysis and everything, this is what they do. They are, you know, you'll know, especially away games, what kind of system they use to get the ball back in play, whether they've got balls around the pitch or not, whether they, you know, if they've got a long throw, you know, whether they get the ball boys to dry the ball off for the home team and not the away team. You know, you will know all these things, but you know, knowing it doesn't stop it or stop the frustration or stop them doing it, you know. And like you say, it's just one of those things that you have to deal with one way or another. And it's sweet. It's just the sweetest thing when they do that, and you still get the better of them. But you know, it's a part of the game, and you would expect Swindon to do the same if they was in the same position, and they will do it at some point in the season. It's just a part of the game. It's frustrating, but it is what it is, as they say. Yeah,
there were a lot of moans around me, and to be honest, Rob, what are you going to do when you're 2-1 up away from home? I mean, you're not going to say, "Here, I'll have the ball, pass around us, and let you score." You know, they're professional footballers, aren't they?
Absolutely. I think there's a couple of things you've got to look at, isn't it? I mean, Swindon got back to 1-1 5 minutes into the second half, had a couple of chances at that point to go 2-1. The one thing you don't do as a side at home at that point is give the opposition another opportunity to go and score in your box. And there were two bits of rank bar defending on that second goal, which I'm sure they'll be looking at significantly on the video analysis this week. There was a poor challenge in the penalty area initially, and then two players went for the same ball for a header that went next to nowhere. So we were pretty much the architects of our own downfall. So we can't really complain too much at Port Vale and their spoiling tactics afterwards.
Yeah, Jamie, I think I mean, I don't know, it's 2 years since we played Northampton at Northampton. Goodness me, does seem a long time ago. But at that time, they were a side who knew one or two little secrets, didn't they? So are we expecting more of the same on Saturday?
I think it'll be very, very similar. I don't see. I think if you're an opposition team looking at us, then you play a very similar way to that. I think it's clear that high press or stopping us playing out from the back is the key to stopping us play. We didn't seem to have an answer or an alternative around it. So if you were scouting that, would you do anything else? You'd put us under pressure, and I think you also identify that we're not the biggest team in the world. So if you build for those long throws or those pumping it into the area, we're probably not going to cope as well as other teams.
Well, this is from Helen, who kind of agrees with you there. Our players look at least a stone lighter than their players. So I think it's fair to say there was a bit more beef on the Port Vale side than it was on the Swindon side. No Anthony Grant, of course, which is a huge difference. And from Paul, agree with Anna on the rough it up. We have to be able to handle this. And I suppose as they go through their career, Anna, that's what they're going to have to learn. Because if you look at the players in our side, they're all very young, aren't they? There's not a lot of experienced pros in that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about age, is it? I think there were a couple of weeks ago when Simpson was taken off late on. Perhaps I'm misremembering, but if you encounter a scenario where Simpson's gone off, you know, he leads the forward line, and we can, you know, throw some criticism his way if we want to. But in terms of physical presence up front, he gives you that in spades, right? He gives you absolutely that. And I think what you don't have necessarily in midfield is the same. You've got some free role type players like Payne, who we love, you know, who can get the ball forward, who's got a good shot on him, but he's not a physical presence. So who do we have in midfield who is going to be that physical presence to give it back a little bit? And it isn't necessarily about you know, dark arts, but it is about standing your ground and being prepared to you know, just challenge it in a more robust manner. Let's say, you know, you don't have to leave your foot in, but we've definitely got to find ways to play against those sides, and it will be the same against Northampton. I think. Don't see it being much different. So how are we going to counter it? I'm sure that's what they're planning for. You know, Garner will be working on that all week, I'm sure.
I understand Grant will be missing Saturday as well, I think, because of isolation. Yeah. So that is a blow. We have to be more streetwise at home, should be able to deal with the high press tactics and be more physical. How can you suddenly make a team more physical, Phil? How can you do that? No, I was going to say, it's difficult, isn't it? You can't suddenly sort of turn a, I don't know, 7-stone player into a 10-stone player and get him to crunching tackles, can you?
No, you can't. And you can't change their attitude towards it. All you can do is ask to either, you know, when I was watching it, you know, I think the first or only challenge that we put on someone where, you know, it was a bit of grit in it was with Harry Parsons at the end, you know, in the second half, where he's put the lad on the floor. And like, I'm not saying you need to hurt people, but letting him know that he's there, you know. And it was a little bit, you know, just a little bit of bite. It's all you need. You don't need to kind of, like I say, hurt somebody, but just a little bit of bite in your challenge. And that wasn't, you know, that wasn't there. And, you know, anyone can do that, you know, big or small, just that, you know, so it doesn't matter. But it's just whether the players have got it in them to kind of do that, really. I think it was needed on Saturday. I think it will be needed again, you know, going forward.
Yeah. You're sorry, Anna, go on.
Yeah, no, I just wondered actually what everyone else thinks about, you know, you've got to play to your strengths, right? We know we don't have that physical presence. So it's all very well, we can all sit here saying, okay, let's be more robust in the challenge, and we can give that back a little bit. But if we're playing to our strengths should be moving the ball quickly, nipping past somebody, drawing the fouls. So maybe we you know, they'll be focusing on that as well, I'm sure. But so
I totally agree, Anna. I think we were so pedestrian at times. The ball was being virtually walked around at the back at times. And if you've got bigger, more physical players, surely moving them about quickly has got to be the way to tire them out. And we just didn't seem to do that in the first kind of half an hour at all. It was very much played at their pace, and whether that's to do with them slowing the game down, but surely that's our strength to try and impose on them rather than that. And I think, how many times have we started slowly so far this season? We don't seem to.
It's a trend, Jamie. It's a trend. It's not just this season. It's going back for about the last 2 or 3 seasons. We've been very, very poor out of the blocks. Even in the Richie Wellens days, we weren't scoring goals in the first half very often. And last season, I think we went through a horrendous spell, obviously, where we were conceding goals first. But we didn't score many goals in the first half either. It's Swindon teams over the last 3 or 4 seasons have all started very, very slowly. And if you give the impetus to a side like Port Vale, then they're just going to build and build and build on that. Yeah,
they had the majority of the ball in the opening 15 minutes, I think it's fair to say, didn't they? And
absolutely.
This is a question from David, and it is a big question, really. Do we think we still need an out-and-out striker? Now, my view is that Tyrese Simpson's got better and better as the weeks have gone on. And, you know, he does some great work, but it's a tough gig, Rob, up front on your own, isn't it? Not only away from home, but at home. And I noticed late on in the game, Vale went 3 up front. We had still 1 up front. It's really difficult, isn't it?
Oh, it is, especially for a young lad just learning the game. It's his first season in playing in professional men's football, and we're expecting him to be all things to all men. He's got to bang people around. He's got to hold the ball up. He's got to set up chances for everyone else, and he's got to score 20 goals a season. If you listen to everybody who's got an opinion on him, so to have all of that on your shoulders for a kid of only 19, I think we really did miss a trick in the window, and. With such a short window for us to get as many players in as we can, I certainly wouldn't level any great criticism at anyone for it. But we really did need to get a chiselled old striker to show him the ropes. And even if that striker was not necessarily going to play every week, but somebody who could just learn off Just tell him this is where you need to be. If you think back to the Owen Doyle, Jerry Yates scenario, there's a number of times that Jerry Yates said, Owen Doyle told me where to be because his experience told me where to go. And therefore, I've suddenly become a good striker. You just wonder if Simpson had somebody of that ilk in the club who could just help him learn the ropes. He's going to be critical this season. And that's the problem, isn't it? You've got one out-and-out striker built like he is, one injury, one suspension. The whole game plan has to change because we've got no one else to fulfil that role.
Well, West Ham on Saturday had their main striker sent off, didn't they? And they're struggling now, thinking, what do we do on Sunday against Man United? So, it's not just at Swindon. Phil, were you with Tommy Mooney and Sam Parkin? Were they there when you were there? No, I was going to say.
No.
But that to me was a classic example of Tommy Mooney was was an experienced forward. And he must have, Sam Parkin must have learned a heck of a lot of Tommy Mooney about positioning, where to run, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it will help. And you get, I find it difficult to kind of understand the one at the front too much, especially when you're not. See, for me, his strengths will be balls in the box, and he's not getting that, or he doesn't know when they're going to come. So, yeah, I don't, getting the players around him and everything like that to deliver the ball, but that doesn't come. That ball never, and he's not really sure when it comes, and he's coming and going. And I don't think that's down to him so much, really, because of the inconsistency of when the ball's getting put into the box. So, but yeah, if he had somebody else, a bit more different dynamic maybe. But I don't think he's ever going to play two up front. Even if we had two strikers, I don't think he would do that because it would leave him, short in midfield. But, I'm sure they'll get somebody else in at some point. But, Harry can do that job possibly, but hasn't got the experience. But it's the situation with the club at the minute. The cards that you're dealt, and I think he'll get better. And there'll be other options coming, but it's a tough gig. Like he keeps saying, it's a tough gig for him up there to kind of ask him to do things that possibly aren't to his strengths.
Yeah, back up Phil's point, Vic. He's had 2 crosses this season to attack Simpson. Scored the winner against Mansfield and scored the equaliser against Port Vale. So if you do put the balls in the box, he scores goals.
We'll get to the crossing in a minute, especially. Well, let's do it now. Free kick, last minute of the game. You're 2-1 down at home. What do? Get the ball in the box. What really happens? It's the 2 defenders in the wall, Jamie. I was spitting feathers at that time. I don't know what you were doing.
Yeah, I think how many times and how many times have we hit the first man from a corner or similar, and it's so frustrating. But I wonder how much of that is we haven't got the height, so they're trying to be so precise and they haven't necessarily got the consistency with it. But yeah, there definitely needs to be a bit of work on some of that delivery, I think. And to Simpson's, I think Simpson's trying his heart out, and he's clearly trying to put himself about. But I don't think we know when it's going to end up in the box, let alone him. So I don't blame him for not being there sometimes.
Yeah, I know about that. I think the standard of crossing generally in English football has been pretty dreadful for quite a few years now. And it's difficult to put your finger on why. They must practice crossing, mustn't they? It's not just at Swindon, is it?
I think one of the areas of focus for me, we talked about maybe players need to have more width. So we need to get to the byline, we need to get the crosses in. But the focus should also be on pushing support up to Simpson. So if Simpson's quite isolated, I think, most of the time. And as you said, he doesn't really know where he should be. He doesn't know what role he's playing a lot of the time. A couple of times on Saturday, he put in some really quite good crosses from the wing. Well, if he's crossing the ball, who's in the box to put it in the net to start off? But I'd like to see some of those attacking midfielders getting forward more often to support him. And I think if you've got that, you've got 1 or 2 of them playing off each other up front and potentially teeing up shots in the box and in the 6-yard box. And I think that gives us more than we've got today. So effectively, you're operating with a lone striker, but when you're on the front foot, you're operating with 2 or 3 strikers because you're pushing your midfield, attacking midfielders up as well. So I don't know about the crossing, really, to be honest. I think Kesler Hayden, the first game, I thought, okay, this is a good kiddie. He's getting some forward momentum. He's taking on the defenders. On Saturday, I don't think he quite knew whether to stick or twist with it. He was so far upfield some of the time. So when we're playing it out in defence, he's on the halfway line. The ball comes back quickly. He's caught in two minds: defend or keep forward. So he wasn't really getting into forward positions to put crosses in either, was he? And that's something they need to sort out around the balance of the wings.
I don't know if anyone noticed, but if you compared the two teams in the second half, the number of times that Port Vale had 4 or 5 players in the box. So without being funny, it didn't have to be a brilliant cross because there was someone pretty much in the right area when it went in. And you looked at our end and there was 1, maybe 2. And it's got to be such a precision cross to actually reach our player that the percentages game says it's not going to be quite the same as what they're trying to achieve, is it?
Well, that comes from the fact.
Go on, right? Sorry,
Vic. That comes from the fact that they were pushing up so much, Jamie, and we were playing so slowly. They could afford to put 4 players in the penalty area because they knew we'd just pass the ball out so slowly that we wouldn't try and catch them back on the break. And that's what we need to do. We need to change our game up a little bit. We can't be one-dimensional all the time. It's lovely to watch. The goal we scored on Saturday, when you look back at it, was one of the best team goals we've scored in a long, long time. But you can't be perfect with that precision every time. You've got to be able to mix it up. And Swindon were just too slow. Pedestrian was a word you used earlier, and it was absolutely right.
This from Michael. We had a great start to the season. Saturday was a wake-up call from Rob, not you, another Rob. Simpson has done a great job leading the line on his own. A strong 19-year-old who's growing every game. From Kevin, if we can get Lydon fit, he gives us some bite in midfield. From Mitchell, I like Simpson. I think he's powerful and he's getting better, but his movement and football brain isn't there yet. The amount of balls that come across the box. This is something we'll get to in a little while. This is from Kerry. Why did Antonio play for West Ham, but Grant have to isolate? Yet they travel together for the international. I think briefly, let's do that one now. I think briefly because Costa Rica and Antonio didn't. Is that right?
Yeah, it's very unfair. It's a very unfair situation. And this is, again, the Championship and Premier League clubs flexing their muscles and telling clubs not to play, or telling countries not to play individuals in red list countries. Otherwise, they won't send their players to be with the squad. A team like Swindon didn't do that. Allowed Grant to play in countries where you're going to have an isolation period afterwards. And if this happens in October and November, when Jamaica have another set of internationals to play, then we could be missing Anthony Grant for huge chunks of the first half of the season.
Yeah, interesting one. And our chairman, of course, has gone back to Australia today. He'll be isolating in a hotel for 2 weeks. Lots of episodes of Neighbours, I suggest. Phil, are we suited to playing away, not at home? I mean, it's been level at Swindon teams before now, but, it seems to me it's a style that is much more suited to playing away from home. The results are better generally.
I don't really think there's a preference. The only kind of thing maybe is that teams are more inclined to put 10, 11 men behind the ball away from home, which is what will happen a lot moving forward. The teams just get behind the ball and like they did on Saturday, nick it in midfield and then really, really attack. So that's what a lot of teams will do at home. So that does make it difficult to play that way against it. Everybody struggles to play around 11 players. It just isn't the space. So in that respect, possibly away from home where they're a little bit more, open, a little bit more attacking, leaves a little bit more space to pass it around and pass it out. But in saying that, the Stevenage game, they sat behind, they got the lead, they sat behind, and we were really lucky to come away with the draw. I know, generally in the game that we done quite well, but in that second half, there was no way through really, Stevenage. So it is a tough way to play. But yeah, you might be right. A little bit easier to play away from home because the teams will come out a little bit more. But at home, it will be difficult because teams will just sit in, because they'll see other teams have got joy from it.
Is that fair, Jamie? I mean, a team, it seems to me, an away team, as long as if they get a goal and keep their shape, they're kind of, they're in control, aren't they? Because they now have Swindon are going to play. At Saturday, you had 3 defenders around Simpson at times. It's a really difficult job, again, to actually make anything of that. So is that an accusation you can level?
I think it comes down to, again, if you can get on top in the game and have a good start. I think the trouble is we've ended up on the back foot too many times, and then you end up trying to play a game that we don't want to play. But if we can pull a team out and they start to have to force it a bit more, I think we've still got, like last season, or not last season, well in the season, if you like, we've still got options where we can break on them. I guess the only question comes back to the speed that we've just talked about, because we don't seem to be breaking particularly quickly. I mean, how many times in the game that end up with the ball at the back, and instead of breaking quickly, it was we'll wait and kind of take our shape again and let everyone get back. And exactly to Rob's point, that's why they could throw people forward, because they had plenty of time to run back and get into position before we ever got forward on them.
Yeah, there was an accusation leveled, of course, in the Luke Williams days, wasn't it, that we didn't get the ball forward, as many people say, at the county ground. This is from Kevin. If we could get Lydon fit, he gives us some bite in midfield. We really would like to see him fit. From Lee, in all honesty, first half we weren't great at all. We weren't good enough to win, but I felt a point would have been fair. From Stephen, against a big physical side on Saturday, would the panel play 3 short players in the midfield areas of Payne, Williams and Reed? Well, we kind of discussed that earlier. We've got 1 or 2 questions on tickets for Saturday. Yeah. This is from Phil. Why don't we ever play 4-4-2? It may be deemed old-fashioned, but it would suit the players we have, and it would give Simpson the support he needs. And from Anthony, we need to drop 4-5-1 and go 3-5-2. That gives us a width and space in the middle for the extra striker. Anna, there we are. Which formation would you play?
I've always been an advocate of 2 up front. When I think back at the pairings we've had over the years, we've had some really, really great units going forward. Cox and Painter, Austin and Painter. I think you just got to think about the attributes of the players that you've got with you, and if you had somebody alongside Simpson to play off him, then I think that would just give us more options. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I think we need to go back to the personnel we've got. Garner said that he was happy with the transfer window. Whether he was actually or not, we don't know. But his options are to push those attacking midfielders forward more. He's not going to play 2 up front, I don't think. Even last gasp, when we're pushing men forward, he's not actually going to go to a 4-4-2 formation. So we need to look at how you move the ball quicker into those forward midfielders and create some runs into the box. We've got the players to do it. Payne and Johnny Williams and Gilbert and Mitchell Lawson, they can all make those darts into the box. You can draw the foul, you can win penalties. So I think we've got the players to do it. It's how in a way, it's a bit mental, I think. On Saturday, we were knocked back after their possession, their depth of possession in the first 15 minutes. And I don't think we ever really recovered from that. We were almost despondent, I think, at that point, not knowing how to combat it. And I think that was how it played out the rest of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, mention of Williams, I still remember the moment my jaw dropped when I found out we'd signed him, which is still quite extraordinary. I can't quite believe it now. We are taking the biggest number of fans to date on Saturday. What's the panel's words on behaviour, etc.? Let's go back. More questions coming in. Why no more tickets for Northampton? Is it true because of the trouble at Stevenage? Well, I can't give you a definitive answer to that. Phil, you were at Stevenage. You witnessed it. I mean, I know you were busy at the time. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think I can say what I honestly thought, but it's all. I don't know. I mean, throwing the flares on, in your own 6-yard box when you're trying to get a win, and for me, listen, I've heard stuff about a steward said something or done something that you shouldn't have done. But at the end of the day, if everybody, I know there's passion involved in football, but if everybody sticks to their kind of, I know like the seats or everything like that, you're going to get up and cheer when they score and everything. But there's no need for any of it, There's no need to be fighting a steward. There's no need to be throwing bins on the pitch. There's no need to be ripping hoardings. One bloke jumped on the pitch because he thought, well, why not? Because they're busy doing something else, you know. And then throwing the flares and everything. It's like, why are you taking a flare to a football match? What's the point in taking a flare to a football match? You know, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And this is part of the game that I really, really hate, because because there's people around, or a lot of people around. It's go on a day, and that seems to be acceptable to some people, and it really ain't, you know. And if they can't take people to Northampton, fair enough, you know, they deserve it. So,
has it happened behind you when you've been in goal?
I've had flares, I've had stuff thrown at me, things like that. The stuff that you can't sort of catch, but there's been a few sort of things like that, but then that's normally away, you know, where they'll chuck stuff at you, and normally, but you know, flares and stuff, yeah, normally just I don't get it, I don't understand it.
Okay, this is on a lighter note. Rob, both you and I have commented on this. From James, do the panel think we need to issue sunglasses for the Arkles, given the new red paintwork? I mean, it is dazzlingly. Where do you sit? You sit in the Arkles, don't you, Anna?
No.
Oh, right. Well, you won't know what we're talking about then. It is. How can I put this? Dazzlingly bad, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It's truly unbelievable, because from the outside, it looks fabulous. All of a sudden, painting it red, you think this is going to really show the Arkles stand in its best light. But when you're in there, it just feels like you're in the red light district. I've never seen anything quite like it. You're in the twilight zone. It's bizarre, but I guess you're only in the concourse for a little part of the time. You're actually supposed to be out in the sunlight watching the football. So I guess we can give them cut them a little bit of slack, but maybe paint the inside white might be a better option, just to take away that red tinge.
Yeah, I know last Tuesday when it was ridiculously hot, Jamie, I mean, it was quite unpleasant, I thought, wasn't it? It was really awful.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly encourage you to want to stay in the concourse for very long, I don't think. But yeah, I think it was more just complete surprise when you first walked into it. I mean, it's got to be slightly interesting as an away supporter. I'm assuming the other end's exactly the same, so they can leave that bit if they like. But yeah, I don't think it's a pleasant environment to be standing in for very long now.
So maybe the answer to your question, James, is yes, we do need sunglasses. From Phil, on Saturday, in the last 5 minutes, when we desperately needed to get a goal, we still played it slowly from the back, and that goes back to what we were saying earlier. This from James. Thoughts on Conroy? Lots of fans criticising him for being poor. Personally, I think he's been great and our consistent player. And I think the criticism is a bit unfair, quite frankly. I mean, he didn't do too much wrong on Saturday, did he?
I don't think criticism of any of the players that played on Saturday or played so far this season is justified, to be honest. You know, Conroy's been through a lot. He's leading by example in many areas of his game. Okay, he made a few mistakes Saturday, but I don't think it's justified at all to criticise how he performed. You know, there's even an argument for saying, could you play him as a holding midfielder? I think he's done that once before. The issue with that would be, who do you then put in centre back? Because he might give us a bit of that steel that's been missing the last couple of games. I just don't think. I think you need to look at how those last 5 minutes again, as we said, and how would they have changed that. And I'm sure Garner's working with them to talk about what you do in that, how you oppose that game management for the last 5 minutes if you're down. And it's obviously not sliding it backwards and forwards across the back four. That's not how it's going to work. But you know, let's cut the players some slack. What they've been through and where they've come to now, I think is absolutely astonishing. You know, where we thought we would be, and we've said that before. So
yeah, they're 7th in the table, still inside the playoff zone. What happens from the sidelines, Phil? Does the manager shout, "Get it forward"? Does he say, "Keep possession"? What kind of happens in those instances?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he would be. You know, he'd be saying, you know, like you say, one or the other. You know, get it forward. You know, you'd assume that that for the way that they're playing, that's he's asking them to do. You know, to stay calm and and build the attack. Which, you know, it builds frustration because they're not got the intent. Although I did see it a little bit on the Arsenal under-21 game. It was a little bit, they went forward with pace. So maybe it's a confidence thing, you know, because the Stevenage game, they didn't do it at all. The Arsenal game, they did go forward a bit quicker, at a bit more intent, a little bit longer, and they looked dangerous, albeit the, you know, Arsenal under-21s. And then on Saturday, there was a little bit more sort of forward running, but in general, like you say, it's slow. So maybe he's trying to get them to make the runs. Maybe it's a confidence thing, but trying to keep the ball. But I mean, I would say that they're carrying out his instructions to be patient, trust the process, that kind of thing, really.
Yeah, this from Pete. It's encouraging that the types of issues we're talking about are focusing on getting a good team to be better. We're far ahead of where we thought we'd be. I think that's fair to say. From Steve, excuse me, did any of the panel like Port Vale's Willy Wonka kit on Saturday? No, is the answer from me. I thought it was horrendous, but you know, that's their away kit. So what are you going to say? What about that in the last 5 minutes then, Rob? Because you know it is frustrating, isn't it? You're 2-1 down at home, and you just want them to get the ball into the penalty area, try and create a chance. Port Vale, they had a corner. And in the group that I sit with, we all said, we know what they're going to do with this corner. And it's exactly what they did. They took it in the corner and wasted a few more seconds. So where do you stand on this? How can you deal with that?
Well, I think for me at the moment, I think the balance is wrong a little bit for the home games. It's perfect away from home, but it's not right at home. And taking Anthony's point from a few minutes ago, 3-5-2 for me would suit that team down to the ground at home. Especially when you've got teams who are throwing big missiles at you from 40 yards into the penalty area every 5 weeks. Have your three centre-backs. Have Critchlow, Conroy and Odemayo together as three centre-backs to deal with that type of aerial assault. Then you've got some really, really good quality wing-backs out there. Or wingers. We've now brought Mitchell Lawson in. We've got Kane on one side. We could put Williams the other side. You've got Iandolo who can do the job. We've got plenty of players who could play that outside midfield role. Then all of a sudden, you've got three in there in the centre of the pitch to potentially win the ball as well. Plus another player up front alongside Simpson to create the opportunities. I think at home, that's the way to go. And especially in the last 5 minutes, if you need a goal, if you're desperate to get players forward, you've got the option of another centre-back potentially on the bench. Do that. Because then you've still got your width, you've kept your width, you can still play from the back, but you've got an extra body up front.
Yeah. Tuesday night, Mohamed Dabre, Jamie, I thought it's one of the best debuts I've ever seen. Whether he's big enough to contest the hustle and bustle of league football, I don't know. But for me, I just came away thinking, do you know what? That was a heck of a performance. What was your view on that?
Yeah, I think we all would have sat there completely gobsmacked. I don't think that's what we were expecting at all. But I think it's like anything, he's going to need time and he needs to develop into the team. But I mean, I was sitting there on Saturday thinking, would you honestly throw him in against Port Vale?
Yeah.
I think he would probably ended up in the stand with us at some point, because I think they would have just tried to teach him a lesson, if you like. But he's clearly, I mean, you can tell why they signed him. He's clearly got potential, and he's clearly got he stood out versus his peers with the Arsenal squad, didn't he? I'm just interested to see how he's going to fare with 20-year pros who are going to try and just kick lumps out of him. I think that's going to be his challenge.
I would imagine, Anna, they'll put a bit of beef on him to get him a bit more of a build as he goes into the hustle and bustle of league football, or presumably at some point he'll go out on loan. Would you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I don't know. Possibly. There'll obviously be plans for him. I mean, the great thing is, if you look at where Garner's come from himself, you know, he's the best advocate we have of young players and young talent. And I think he brought Johnny Williams through, didn't he, at Crystal Palace as one of the names. So, you know, you couldn't have a better manager and coach in place to develop that young talent. And I think that's what he's maybe eggs are all in one basket a little bit in that respect. But he's going to be the man to do it. Is Dabre maybe someone for a couple of years' time? He's obviously got a lot to learn. Could he go out on loan? Possibly. Now is not the right time, clearly, because we probably need bodies. And I think you could even say, do you throw him on against Port Vale? Well, I don't know. I'd say why not? To be honest, you might end up getting kicked in the stand, but we needed to change something up on Saturday, and those 3 substitutions didn't really work. And I'm sure those things is going to give it a go at some point. And why not?
I guess, Phil, that's the way you really test a player, isn't it? You put him on against an experienced outfit and see whether he's got, for want of a better word, the bottle. I'm sure he has got the bottle. We saw it against Arsenal, but you see the point I'm making.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I agree with Anna. You know, why not? You know, he's done well. Everyone's seen how well he's done. And I don't think he would have got kicked in the stand. I think he had a bit of bite about him and he would have given it back to him, to be honest with you, which is probably what we needed a little bit more. I can understand why the manager didn't do it for lack of inexperience, but sometimes, you know, lack of fear is also a valuable tool, which he probably has, you know, because he's just buzzing that he's around. He had a good game on Tuesday, so yeah, I can't see him going out on loan. Like you say, numbers is too low, and I would imagine that he'll get a few more sneaks in the later stages of games, and then, you know, you never know really.
Yeah, I mean, is size a problem for him? Would you say, Phil? I mean, it didn't appear so against Arsenal last week, I have to say.
No, because he looks strong, and he looks, you know, put himself about a bit. You know, he wasn't really too scared. He got his goal from putting himself about. You think some of the good wingers that we've had, you know, over the years, and you know they're not, you know, the biggest. So I don't see him any different to that. You think of Anthony McNamee, what a player he was, although maybe not the best of Swindon, but what a player he was. You know, Little Marshy as well. Little Marshall, he was, you know, he was the same. He had a lot of fight about him. So I don't see it as a big issue. You know, is he much smaller than Payne? You know, probably not. Maybe a little bit lacking in stockiness, but no, I don't see it as a problem for him at all.
Well, I thought he was terrific last Tuesday. Yeah. From James, I would bring Darbre off the bench as an impact sub for 15 minutes when we need something different and someone with pace. Let's talk about goalkeepers. We'll get to you in a minute, Phil, as the expert in this. Although Andrew Hall's performance in that walking football tournament, I tell you what, we'll get his opinion on goalkeepers a little later when he's on. Rob, what do you think of the 2 goalkeepers that we've got at the minute?
Well, it's clearly the cap that does it for Andrew, isn't it? Because that goes everywhere with him. But in terms of the goalkeeping standards that we've got at the club at the moment, it's been a long time we've had 2 goalkeepers of this standard. I think we've very often had a very, very good number 1 and a very young number 2. But I think Woolacott has just been a revelation for the 7 games that we've seen him so far this season. I think he's just been outstanding in almost every game. He possibly can be put at fault for the penalty at Scunthorpe, but that apart, there've been a couple of absolutely incredible saves. Phil would have commentated on the one at Stevenage. That was an absolutely incredible save. And Ward as a second choice, I mean, he would walk into most teams in this division. He's an excellent second choice goalkeeper. So I think we're really well blessed in that department for the first time with 2 goalkeepers for a long time.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of Exeter fans who were surprised that they let him go, Lewis Ward. Jamie, your thoughts?
I think Woolacott's been really impressive. I think the bit I like is he comes out and actually tries to catch the ball and take the pressure off at important times. And I think he's certainly he takes the pressure off when we haven't got maybe the biggest set of defenders. I think the bit I'd like to still see, which is not necessarily him, but is that distribution afterwards, because I think we can definitely hit people on the break when he breaks the game up, and I think he doesn't seem to have the options at the moment to be able to throw it to or to be able to pass it out quickly, so ends up having to slow the game down. But I don't think that's him. I think that's what they're being told to do, and I agree. I think we spent most of the last couple of seasons worrying about losing a goalkeeper and whether we would have anyone to fill in. I think at the moment it looks like we could play either of them and not be let down. Yeah,
bearing in mind we had 8 goalkeepers, I think, last year. It's a pretty good position to be in. Anna, how do you view this?
Yeah, I'm just casting my mind back to a year ago when we had Kovard in goal, and what a difference a year makes, to be honest. You know, Woolacott, he must have saved us seriously, 6-7 goals so far this season. Like we said, that save at Stevenage was out of this world. Really, you know, you get that feeling when the ball comes to a opposition striker in the box, and you think, you know, that's a goal. And you get that almost sinking feeling, and he saved us like that 6 or 7 times. His command of the area is really good, so I think that alone gives the defence. I'm sure Phil will comment as well. If you've got a solid keeper behind you, it gives the defence confidence as well.
Is it about positioning, Phil? Because, you know, saves like the one at Stevenage, which was breathtaking, quite frankly. It's a goal. Oh, you know, it's not a goal. Incredible save. Is it about positioning? What is it?
Well, probably quite a few things. People will roll their eyes when I go, but there's, you know, he's got to be quick on his feet. He's got to be agile. He's got to be in the right place. He's got to be able to see the ball. You know, all of these things will come into play. Confidence is part of it. Strength in his hands and his wrists. So yeah, and I mean, you know, even like Saturday in the first half, you know, 1v1 he had that he saved. You know, that could have been, you know, a completely different game altogether. Then coming out for crosses, absolutely fantastic. Like James said, coming and catching them. But he's coming and he's keep coming, and every time he comes, he deals with it. Whether he catches it or punches it, he's on the end of it. If he's not going to get it, he stays, which is massive, you know. And like you said, the back four will know that. So yeah, I've been really, really impressed with him a couple of times. But then again, I don't think it's his fault. You get the ball to the edge of his box, and he's looking to go forward, and you know, and Simpson's 3v1 up front, and you know, he still put it in a couple of times when maybe he shouldn't. But you know, that's just maybe even just do it because I would do it. Just, you know, lash it forward and say, come on, you got to get up with him. Do you know what I mean? What's the point in hanging around where, you know, get up there so we can get up the pitch ourselves. So no, everything that I've seen from him has been really good for me.
How does Lewis Ward deal with this? Because, I mean, you've been a backup keeper, if I might say that, and, you know, you want to play, basically, don't you? So how do you deal with that?
A lot of it will come down to the manager and how he deals with him not playing. And basically, it's going to be down to him accepting his role and how he conducts himself day in, day out. Whether he's going to sulk, which it doesn't seem to be, doesn't look the type to do that. Put his effort in training and wait for his chance when it comes along. Inevitably, normally you get a chance at some point, whether it's in the cups or something like that. So he's just got to focus on that, keep his head right. The coach, I know, Steve Milden will look after him, you know, just got to keep his head. And the manager will be a big part of that, letting him feel part of the team and part of the squad.
Yeah, he kept a clean sheet at Cambridge, of course, in the Carabao, and just the one goal against Arsenal. Right, let's get controversial now. This from Steve. Rob, could there possibly be a worse refereeing performance at the County Ground this season? Couldn't believe 4 yellows. From James, the ref on Saturday was shocking, and we've seen some bad ones. Now, I had a text from an Exeter supporter friend of mine who said, "Oh, I see you've got on Saturday as a referee. Watch out." On you go.
Well, he was appalling, wasn't he? I don't think there's any two ways around it. We can't flower it up in any other way. He just was. Anna said earlier on, he was more interested in himself than he was in actually refereeing the game. And you've got to take a strong stance with people when you are wasting time. And they were wasting time, Port Vale, at 0-0. They were quite happy with a point at 0-0. And if you set your stall out and you book players early for things like that, then you set the tone, and they don't try and take liberties with you from that point forward. That referee was so weak. I think we got the first booking of the game. Was it Payne pulled back on the edge of the area or something along those lines after about 25 minutes? And 5 minutes before that, there'd been a foul every minute from a Port Vale player, stopping us from being able to move the game forward. Nothing was done about it. Now, I hesitate to say he will be the worst referee at the County Ground this season because we've seen some shockers over the last few years. I'm sure there are worse still to come. But
right.
You go back to, we had Madley the other week. Ex-Premiership referee, was appalling. Absolutely dreadful refereeing performance. We have seen some very, very poor standards. I don't want to be critical of referees because we all know they got a difficult job to do. And they may very well have got into a slight comfort zone last season because they didn't have 8,000 fans screaming at them every week. They could actually referee the game without that fan pressure that you get from full stadiums. But I have to say, I don't think I've seen a decent one yet this season, which is very, very disappointing.
Jamie, how were you? Were you annoyed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the bit for me that I just couldn't believe was, I mean, I think it took till pretty much halfway through the second half for him to notice they were taking 10 yards extra on every throw-in. And bearing in mind that was an asset of theirs. The liberties that were being taken every time they were trying to take a throw-in was hilarious. It got to the point where it was actually quite funny. But I agree. I think they clearly, with we talked about earlier, that their game management, they worked out he wasn't going to do anything about it from the first few minutes, and they just worked out they could take the liberties throughout the whole game, and he never really decided he was going to do anything about it right to the end, did he? And if I was Port Vale, I would have taken liberties as well. So you can't blame them. But I'm with Rob. I don't think that'll be the worst we'll see.
Great, Anna. Are you looking forward to seeing worse ones?
Oh no, for sure. I mean, he had an absolute shocker, didn't he? It's easy to, it's easy for us to look at whether he had an impact on the game and our performance, and perhaps he did a little bit. But you're always going to get more frustrated with a referee when you've lost, and that's we need to look to ourselves, don't we, about how we take the game to those sort of teams. And definitely, if we have more refs like that, then there'll be a few people running down to the front, won't there?
Is that a fair point, Phil? It really ought to be about the team rather than saying the referee. I mean, I don't think the referee robbed them on Saturday. It was down to, Port Vale being. I think they got the result they deserved, quite frankly. And I went. It was a stinker first half. Let's be honest. And I don't think that was down to the referee.
No, you're right, Vic. It wasn't down to the referee. To be honest, I think that the frustration just built throughout the game, and then things that just focus, on the referee. A lot of the time, it was Port Vale just pushing the limits, And to be honest, what can you say? Played it perfectly. They pushed the limits. They probably got spoke to by the ref, and then they kind of, eased off a bit more, or So it wasn't down to the referee at all. No, and some of the, fouls and free kicks and things like that. It's just nous from Port Vale, if you ask me. Not so much the referee. It's just the way that they played the game. A lot of the time he didn't really have a choice. The time wasted in the first half from the goalkeepers. That's ridiculous. But you're never going to get booked in the first half for time wasting. It's never going to happen, no matter what referee you got. So, it was definitely down to. I mean, Port Vale were a good side. They were just a good outfit, and had a plan and stuck to it and executed it well.
Yeah, from James, the Vale bench were laughing at their own time wasting. From Helen, Rob, this is the incident that we were talking about earlier, I guess. Every part of the ground saw something the ref didn't call for, which was the incident with Romelu Critchlow. And it does amaze me. You've got two assistant referees, you've got the referee and a fourth official, and nothing was seen. I mean, it does amaze me that.
Well, yeah, that's the point exactly, Vic. I don't blame the referee for that one, because the ball's been cleared and he has to look to where the ball's going.
As most of us were, to be fair.
Yeah, that's one you can't level at the referee, but the assistant referee on the Don Rogers side is looking right at that. He will have the absolute perfect view, because Critchlow was the last man, so he has to be in line with that. Otherwise, he's not doing his job properly for the offside. So he must have seen that. And if he didn't see that, he clearly hasn't done his job properly.
Yeah. Right. This is from Rob. Another one from Rob. How are you doing this, multitasking like this? It's really clever. And it's something we talk about quite a lot. The season is still about 52 points. We've got the winter and heavy grounds to go yet. We're well ahead of where everyone anticipated. It's still brilliant. And it is, Rob, something we talk about every week, isn't it? Get to 50 points. Because that really is the benchmark. And we all thought, finish above dotted line this season, fantastic. So get to 50 points. We still don't know what's going to happen with the Football Association yet, do we? Get to 50 points as quick as possible, basically.
Yeah, it's so easy to get carried away, isn't it? When you're a football fan, you love getting carried away. When results are going well, we're the best thing since sliced bread. We're going to win every game this season. We're going to take the division by storm. It doesn't make any difference to what anyone else thinks. The reality of the situation is no different to what it was 2 weeks before the season started. If we can keep our heads above water this season, we will be in such a good position next season to have a real good crack at it, that anything approaching mid-table this season has to go down as a success from where we started from. Now, I know people won't necessarily like to hear that because we're in fourth, we're now in seventh. Of course, we must be pushing towards the playoffs. There are lots of things that could set us back this season. Anthony Grant's been put up as an example already. We're missing for a long part of this season. An injury to Simpson between now and the transfer window would be massive against Swindon. There are key players all over that pitch. You lose them for any length of time, and suddenly that forward momentum we've taken from the first few weeks of the season could very quickly go backwards. So you're absolutely right, Vic. Get to 50 points. Worry about take the worries of possible relegation out of the equation as early as possible, and then move forward from there.
Was that the chairman flying over, Phil? That airplane just now, was it him?
No, it wasn't private.
This is from Mark. The players are still getting used to playing together. Improvements are in the horizon. We'll be in the mix come the end of the season. From Steve, several of the players dropped to the floor after the Vale game, physically or mentally exhausted. Right, so I think that's all for the moment. I think the thing is, Jamie, the chairman said on here last week that he's not going to try and pay off the embargo money until, if he needs to, January, because why waste money if you think you've got a decent squad? Do you think that's fair enough?
Absolutely. And I think also, greatest will in the world, who knows what comes out of the woodwork in the meantime as well. And I'm with Rob, and I think Anna said it as well, that I'm still, as much as you want to get excited, I'm still looking 6-7 weeks ago when we were sitting here with however many 6 players or whatever, saying we'll just take anything that starts the season, to be honest. I think it's really easy to forget that. And I understand why people want him to pay it off. Why pay it off now? You're gonna gain absolutely nothing.
Well, you can't use it now, can you, at the minute? So there's no point. Yeah.
No. So I understand that waiting and then see where we are. I mean, if we're in a good place, that's his choice then, isn't it? But who knows? We could have another couple of million quid come out of the woodwork in the meantime. That I'd rather he dealt with that if it means that the club's safe, to be honest.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about Saturday then, Anna. I'm going to hold my hands up here. I'm going to miss my first game of the season on Saturday. I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. I'm confessing. I'm off to Edgbaston to watch Somerset win the 2020. I'm sorry. All right. So Saturday, what do you reckon?
So Vic, let's just get this right. So you've been to all 3 away games so far, right?
Well, all of them, including Cambridge. Sorry.
Okay, and have we lost yet? Have we lost yet in the league when you've been?
Oh no! Don't do that to me. That's too much pressure. I can't cope.
I'm a little bit worried about that. I will promise to put on my. I'll promise to put on my lucky pants. As I hope everyone else will. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, isn't it? It's gonna be a tough one. We know it's gonna be very similar to last Saturday. Have they still got a long throw merchant? They did have at one point, I think.
They will. No, he went to Brentford, Anna.
Oh, did he? Okay, well there we go. I'm sure they'll be coaching it in the training, won't they? But yeah, it's gonna be tough. My thought is that snap your hand off probably now for a draw, just to steady the ship. But at some point this season, don't know what everyone else thinks because I can't remember the last time we got 6. But I want to see a 6-0. Probably won't be Saturday. But
say that again.
I want to see a 6-0, Vic.
Oh yeah, well, so do I.
When did we last score 6 goals? I couldn't recall, to be honest. Long time ago. So
away from home.
It won't. No, any game. It's not going to be Saturday, is it? But I think we just got to steady the ship, be resilient, try and move the ball quicker, not give in to crappy time-wasting tactics and bullying, and give as good as we get.
You'll be there, Phil.
It'll be your fault if we don't win.
You'll be there, Phil. I won't. I just confess. What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough Saturday. Just whether they can, if they can keep it tight for the first half, not concede in the first 25, 30 minutes, I think they'll give us a chance to get something out of it. But, I don't really know too much about Northampton, but it's going to be a tough game for them, I think. If it, like Anna says, they come out with a draw, I think it's a good result. It's just sticking together. It's just the worry is that the confidence goes after the loss, but hopefully that will stay. And if that stays, I think it's whether they draw or lose or whatever the result. I think if they keep that confidence in the way that they're playing, I think that's a good outcome.
Right, we've got a minute or so left, Rob. Terry has said, any thoughts on McCurdy leaving the stadium before the game from James? McCurdy's injured. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was off resting. I don't know. But Saturday as well?
Well, I had the dubious pleasure of commentating on Northampton games both times last season. And I have to say, they weren't the side that we were all building them up to be. They actually started to play a bit of football last year, and it did them no good whatsoever because they were quite dreadful in both encounters, and Swindon should have beaten them comfortably both times. So if they have been checking up on their stats, which let's hope they haven't been, they'll probably go back to the route one that they did a couple of seasons ago, because clearly it's the way to play against Swindon. If they try and out-football us, Swindon are going to win comfortably. If they try and play their route one stuff, I'm not looking forward to it.
And McCurdy with the orange slippers, thoughts on him leaving?
I don't think there's anything much more in that. I have to say, I think he's looked a really good team pro so far. I have to say, in some of the games he's come off the bench and celebrated harder than most of the others when he's not had a game. So I think there's nothing more in that than an injury.
Jamie?
I think we're going to have to weather a lot of pressure. I think we'll be under the cosh, especially early on. So I don't think there'll be much in it. I think it's whether we can be that solid at the back and see through the first half. But I think it will be 1-0 either way. I just don't see us scoring many goals at the moment. So I think it'll be, can we sneak the clean sheet and a goal?
Okay. Derek, hello, Derek. He will be at Northampton. His home game, actually, for Derek Elston. I'm sure Anna would take time wasting tactics from us if we were to get a win. Well, we all would, wouldn't we? So fair enough.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, quite. So just a little bit of news on the SAS travel office. They're open tomorrow night, 7 until 8, but they're only taking bookings for Northampton at the moment. So if you have a match ticket for Northampton and you're looking to travel, they're open tomorrow night. But I must stress, you must have a match ticket because, of course, as we know, they've sold out. You can get in touch with them on email, sastravel@sky.com. And you can reach them on Twitter at @SAS_travel. And more news today. The women's football team has been granted a match at the County Ground, which is great news. That's on the 31st of October against Exeter City. I think it's a 2:00 kickoff, but obviously we'll make more of that as we get closer to it. But that's really good news of a more association between the football club and the women's team. Chris, you there?
I am. Thank you very much. Well done, everybody. That was brilliant. But I have to say, I've got Vic on cricket. Somebody on the questions is going as a wedding. Where is all this commitment? I'll tell you.
I'm so sorry.
The rest of us will be there, Chris. It's just Vic.
If we get Anna's 6-0, Vic's banned from going.
Oh, don't please.
And I did see, we were on about McCurdy and going before the match, but I did see a photo of him in the stands, but that might have been a different match that somebody put up for Saturday. I don't
Sure,
know.
that wasn't me.
Sorry?
You sure that wasn't me?
Oh, no. With your Crocs on. Bless. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be back 2 weeks tonight to review the Colchester game. And the Supporters Club are actually match sponsors for that one. So that's an exciting one to look forward to. So thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.